Hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Lou Reviews. So happy you guys are here. So happy you guys are here. The destination for critical thinking in the realm of the unexplained. Before we get started, I want to say hello to everyone who's in the chat. Silly Goose, Terrestrial Material, Dana Shadell, Fifi Barbora, Renee Cruz, Preston Patchett, Simon Fly. Thank you all for being here. Stone Ape. Appreciate it. X Flies. What's happening, everyone? So today would be a fun show. I watched Monsters of California. We're gonna get into the review of that, and then after that, we will be digging into some news and notes. Apparently, Bigfoot has been caught in Colorado on camera, and we've got. Let's see here. We've got. I think UFO Twitter is starting to has had it up to here with Ross Coulthart and all of his nonsense that he's been spewing lately. It's kind of nice to see that the community's kind of getting sick of his bullshit, and we'll get into that. And a couple of other things that have happened here in the last week or so. So let's dive into it, shall we? So we're going to be reviewing, starting out, like I said, with the review of Monsters of California. And I was trying to get you guys, I've got the trailer here that's just on repeat, and I don't think I have to do a copyright warning here, but just in case, this is fair use, right? This is transformative work. We're educating the public and critiquing the videos we are sharing. This is covered under fair use and allowable by law. Now, I did purchase this movie on YouTube. It was a $7 rental fee, and I'd be lying if I said I didn't want my money back, but here we are. Let me go ahead and do this because I'm pretty sure we're in the clear on this one because I'm not playing any sound from this. Okay, so let me get my notes here because I do have quite a bit of notes. I guess let's start off with the good. The good of the film is that aesthetically speaking, it looks great. Whoever the cinematographer was on this film, the first AD on this film, I think they made it look really, really great. The soundtrack is phenomenal. It's amazing. And I think Tom DeLonge is getting to a place where he's really flexing his muscles on how musically genius he is. I mean, he's a composer. He's not just a rock star in a punk band. He's really good at it. He's really good at writing film scores. He's really good at writing scores for television shows, which he's done. Um, it was great. It was great. The music was amazing in this film. And I think that's all the positives I got. Okay, the negatives. Gosh, there's a lot. So, first of all, I guess I wasn't paying attention to the opening credits of the film when I was watching it, but this film is directed by Tom DeLonge, and it shows. It shows that this is a first-time director that has never been in charge of a major studio production, and it shows. It shows. Like, this is why they just don't let anybody direct films, and when they do, it usually doesn't turn out very good. It's clear that Tom DeLonge doesn't know how to make a movie. Maybe he's directed. I haven't looked this up. Maybe it wouldn't shock me if he's directed a music video or two, especially for Blink 182. But um, he needed a professional director for this film, and I don't know if he did this to save money or he just thought he was the only one who could direct this film. But yeah, it wasn't a very good job, and I'll get into the details of it. We're also going to get into the credits of the film after the review because there's some interesting stuff in the credits as well, and sort of gives you a clue as to why this movie didn't turn out very good. Spoiler alert. And by the way, spoiler alerts for the whole film. If you haven't watched this movie and you don't want to know what happens in it, maybe go watch the movie, then come back to the review and see if you agree with it. But I'll be honest with you. Yeah, I asked the question on Twitter: is should you rent, buy, or skip this film? I would recommend skipping it, and then I'll give you a final score at the end of this review. But okay, let's get into it. So, Monsters of California. The main character's name is Dallas, and his dad is dead and left him a map with paranormal coordinates. And his paranormal investigator buddies, Toe, and I believe the other guy's name was Randall. Let me look it up on the. He wasn't of. Riley. His name was Riley. The actor's Jared Scott. And I guess that is another good thing about the film. I think some of these actors are going to, this will be a nice little launching pad for some of these first time actors in some cases. In some cases, there's some actually pretty seasoned actors. But a lot of new faces, a lot of really young talent in this film. I think there's going to be a couple of people in particular that are going to take off in Hollywood. Possibly because of this film. I mean, I wouldn't shock me if it got a few eyeballs, but if I'm going by the numbers on YouTube, there's only 24 likes on this movie. 24. So only 24 people have clicked like on the YouTube version of this film where you can rent it, and it's only got 10 comments on it. That's that doesn't bode well. That doesn't tell me this movie's very popular, especially considering that YouTube now is a really popular way where people watch their content, including blockbuster films and now even the NFL. So that was actually quite a shocking number to me to see only 24 likes on a big budget film with a marketing budget. I mean, it was written up in Variety magazine. Like it's gotten some publicity, and to have only 24 likes, that's worrisome. If I was the producers of the film, I'd also be worried. And considering that they released the trailer, which I'm playing here 3 weeks ago, and it's only got 96,000 views in 3 weeks with 1.7 thousand likes and 81 dislikes, um, it just doesn't bode well. And I think the reason why people aren't excited about it is because nobody wants to see a movie directed by Tom DeLonge. And if you watch this film, there are a lot of reasons why. Um, so first things first, the first opening scene is these three buddies, Riley, Toe, which we learn, and I knew this as soon as I heard the name. We eventually learn the meaning of his name is Theories of Everything, which is a really stupid name for this character because this character, out of everyone in the film, is hands down the lowest IQ of all the characters in the film. And that's not saying much. Um, so they're doing a paranormal investigation and they're at this house, and this house is one of the coordinates that Dallas's dad left him. And this is also weird because we learn to find out that there's a GPS unit that the government's looking for with with coordinates on it as well. I don't understand the coordinates. The coordinates are written down in more than one place other than the GPS, which is sort of the MacGuffin of the film. That's the thing that gets the film going. And one of the first sentences out of this investigation, I'll tell you the one thing this film did really well was highlight why paranormal investigators are never taken seriously, ever. So they're doing a paranormal investigation, and the first words out of one of the investigators' mouth, which was Toe, by the way, was talking about how he took 3 hits of acid before this investigation. And the whole film, this is I think one of my biggest complaints is who the hell are these men? Are they high school students? Are they college students? Are they supposed to be fully grown adults? My guess is that they're all high school students because they have parents in the movie. All of them, except for Riley and Toe, have parents in the film that control their lives, which tells me they're in high school. But the problem is that two out of the three of these high school kids have either a really deep, as you can see here, 5 o'clock shadow, and one guy just has a full blown mustache and goatee. They do not look, with the exception of the actor that plays Riley, and he's pushing high school. And his name's Jared Scott, the actor. He's pushing, looking like he's in high school. He's the youngest looking one, other than the actress who plays his Dallas's love interest, which is Gabrielle Hoff, and she was great. I'll just tell you, Jared Scott and Gabrielle Hoff were really good actors and stood out to me in this film. Jack Lancaster as well, the guy who plays Toe. I looked up his IMDb and some of his professional acting reel. This kid's gonna be a great actor. I think all three of these kids are gonna be consistently working actors in the future. Most of them I have more credits than most of them. But the credits that they have are bigger and they're really good looking young talent. So I could definitely see some of them down the road, especially Jared Scott. To me, he's got, I mean, look at this guy. He's got the look. He's absolutely got the look. And he's a good little actor. But anyway, so the investigation in the film, there one of the comments on the YouTube film was like, I couldn't watch this movie because it was so much cursing. I think that right there was one of the biggest mistakes that this film made, was it went rated R. And it should have been rated PG-13 because there's not enough horror in it to make it R. The thing that makes it horror is the crude language. These characters talk just like it's 1999 and Blink 182's album just dropped. These characters are without a doubt based off of the conversations and the interactions of his bandmates within Blink 182. Now, the issue with this film is they're high school kids that clearly look like adults. They have tattoos. High school kids with tattoos doing drugs throughout the whole film. And they're talking about science and philosophizing about really big concepts. And it's like, this is, I mean, at its core is why UFO researchers, paranormal researchers are never taken seriously, because at their core, they're very much like these three characters. They're crude, they take drugs, they don't know how to work their equipment. The experiments that they come up with in this first scene are stupid, just really, really dumb. They don't give any good explanations as to what they're doing there. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of things in this film that are not explained very well, especially the family dynamic and who these kids are. Who the fuck are these kids? I think you make one or two decisions with a film like this. Either A, you make the kids really young like Goonies and they have a monster adventure looking for dad's clues in sort of like a hidden map kind of movie, or you make them adults like Ghostbusters did, and you have very serious researchers and drop the I'm a punk rock guitarist for a fucking punk band. Like I think there's none of these characters have redeeming qualities for you to like them. They're pickpockets. Like one of the main sort of segues through the film that ends up coming back and sort of being the thing that saves humanity was their ability to pickpocket. Why do I like these kids? There's no reason. I don't know, like, their dreams. I don't know their hopes. Especially when it comes to his friends Toe and Riley. Like, who are these people? How did they meet? What school do they go to? And here's another thing: the show or the movie takes place, I believe, in Encinitas. It looks like Orange County, a very rich part of San Diego slash Orange County was where a lot of this stuff was filmed. These are white neighborhoods with white privilege, a lot of privilege in these neighborhoods. And this main character, or Dallas, is calling people Karens and boomers and talking about Jesus being white and all of these sort of woke agenda kind of things, but he comes from the privilege that he hates. It doesn't make any sense at all. It's really kind of dumb. So that was like the biggest thing, is the casting is like, and also the makeup. Uh, I I don't know if it was a decision. I don't know what went behind the decision. But Jack Sampson, the main kid who plays Dallas, has some pretty bad adult acne. And I'm thinking in my brain, I'm going, oh, the producers and the directors must have said, you know what, have them keep the high school kids have acne. Totally, that's absolutely true. But they don't have 5 o'clock shadows. That they don't have. And Dallas's character has both of those things, and it was really distracting for me. I couldn't stop looking at all of the pimples, the whiteheads all over his face. Um, these things could have been covered up with makeup. Like I'm not blaming anybody. You can't control acne. Like, it's not your fault. I get that. But damn it, like, let's cover it up with some makeup. Do we? I mean, and again, that's just another, it's just a decision that's not clear. If they clarify who these kids are, what school do they go to, what grade are they in, how old are they? Some kind of clue to how old these kids are, because the best guess I've got is they're about 16 years old. Only one of the three kids drives, and he's the only one with a driver's license. So that tells me he's at least 16, and the other kids, two kids who come from the privileged neighborhoods, don't have cars or a license yet. So that tells me they're not 16 yet. So we've got 15-year-olds with 5 o'clock shadows and tattoos. It's just confusing. It's insanely confusing. No, I definitely didn't audition for this movie, but that, I will tell you an interesting story. About 3 years ago, right after I started the channel, I played golf with a guy who was supposed to be in this movie, and he's not in the movie. As a matter of fact, I think they made him play Bigfoot, so they didn't even show his face in this. If I remember correctly, what his name was, which was, I mean, I looked, Dane Delaligro, and he plays Bigfoot. Boy, wait till we get to that scene. But I'm pretty sure I played golf with Dane, and he was supposed to be one of the main characters, and then I think he got downgraded to Bigfoot. Um, and which tells me that they shot part of this film, scrapped it, and then started from scratch on a different either concept or the same concept with different actors. So it feels like this production had issues, a lot of issues, primarily because of how long it took to get this film in the can and actually distributed. It took at least 3 years, if not longer. I believe this film was announced in 2019, if I'm not mistaken. So almost 4 years to get this movie soup to nuts finished, which tells me they ran out of money. They had to do reshoots, and they weren't happy with the final product, and they couldn't find anybody to distribute it. So, like, one of those or all four of those things were probably happening, and why this film took so long to come out. Um, so after Riley and Dallas summon a demon that they don't get any pictures of, that they don't get any proof of, it's one of the, I can't say it's the silliest scene in the movie, because there are even sillier non sequitur scenes in this movie where I just feel like they were just put in there because Tom DeLonge thought it was funny, or it was an idea that he had that he just could not cut out of the movie. And Bigfoot is a big part of that. But before we get there, so after this scene, he comes home, and there's this very awkward, very poorly acted scene between Dallas and his mom and his sister and a little brother that does not talk at all. And there's an actual line from this argument. Okay, so they let's see here. So Dallas yells at the dinner table, quote, "Dad would have never thought science was crazy." And the very next scene, after he says that, he's in his garage channeling his dad through a seance with his two best friends, one of which is smoking a joint. So, again, right back to non scientific research habits and while spouting science. That's the thing about this film is claiming that there's a lot of real science behind these things, or putting that theory out there that these theories, I mean, for fuck's sake, David Fravor, his picture is used as uh the character that is Dallas's father is actually David Fravor. They used the picture of David Fravor and used the military record of David Fravor as the inspiration for Dallas's father, who had all of these secrets, worked for the government, and died. But the explanation for Dallas's father's death was there was no explanation. They never explained how his dad died, not only to the viewer of the film, but to the main character's son, the father's wife, like the family and friends who were there when he died don't know how he died. It is one of the biggest plot holes in this film that is so dumb. It's like, make a decision on these characters. If he died, how did he die? Just come up with something. It's just this mysterious thing that is never answered in the movie. It is so weird. So of course, as his buddies doubt this seance technique, um Toe finds a stack of Playboys hiding in his dad's garage, where he's got some of his dad's stuff still collected and still stored in the garage. And of course, before this, dad's best friend came by the house, who's Uncle Jim, and Uncle Jim is, asking Dallas if he'd seen this GPS unit that's got some things on it that's very important to him and that he needs to try and find out, possibly, how his father died with this device. But, basically sets up this important thing that is going to then send them on this mission, this MacGuffin, this GPS MacGuffin. Um, so they're in the garage. They do the seance. Toe finds a stack of Playboys that's holed out like a book, like, you're hiding something. So when you open it, boom, there's the GPS thing. There's the thing that they need that's got all of the GPS coordinates for all of the paranormal hotspots that the United States military and naval intelligence has found throughout the world. And he hid it in this GPS in a garage for his son to find one day. I don't know. They never explain any of the experiments that him and his dad and this doctor, who is played by Richard Kind, who's a great actor, by the way. And we'll get into Richard Kind when we get there. So um and again, like, some of the things that happened in this, for like, going back to the first scene, that were just so like, if you caught any of this stuff as proof, it would be, especially, with multi-censored proof, like, they heard voices, lamps moved, all the guys cursed. Well, that's not paranormal, but then there was a shockwave, a demon comes, and there's no scientific method whatsoever to record it. Again, just a perfect recreation of your typical paranormal investigator. Um, so they find the MacGuffin, and then him and his mom have another argument, because his mom tells him that she plans to remarry this guy who is now his mom's dating. We meet him. He's very bland. But it's like 35-year-old Dallas, who still lives at home with his mom, is telling his mom that she's not getting married. Like it is the most awkward conversation um that they have. It's just so weird. It's just so weird to see. Like, again, if this was a younger kid, if this was a 13, 14-year-old looking kid getting upset about his mom getting remarried, then maybe the scene would be a little more relatable, a little more realistic. But because the kid is 35 with a 5 o'clock shadow and tattoos all over him, I don't really give a shit. I honestly, in the back of my head or in the forefront of my head, I'm thinking, why don't you just move out? It's time, kiddo. Like, you're old enough. Get the fuck out of there, maybe. And then you can go do whatever you want in Newport Beach or wherever your privilege gets you to. It's just, it's, again, like, there's no redeeming qualities to these kids. So I don't give a shit about them as characters. I don't care. Like, I don't care. Um, yeah. So, okay. Yeah, it's just funny that the official thing is, quote, his dad, quote, disappeared on the job. That's the explanation. His dad went into work and then just never came back home. Nobody knows, not even the military, what happened to him where he works. It's absolutely wild. Okay. So then between this, after this scene happens, Dallas is working at a coffee shop. A really pretty girl comes in, and that's the love interest. Boom. Now we've got a love interest in this film. And to be honest, again, Gabrielle Huff, she was great, really grounded, actually made Jack Sampson a better actor. The scenes between them were, there was real chemistry there. Like, as a casting director, I would see a scene with those two and I'd say they need to be in something together. Like, they had great chemistry, but when he wasn't doing a scene with her, he sucked. Like, and I'll just show you right now, like, again, I'm not knocking this guy, but he's got 4 credits on his IMDb. He's done four things. One was Zodiac, but that was 2007. Clearly, he was a kid in this film, young David Graysmith, and he did a couple of voices, a couple of episodes of Family Guy, which is, hell, that's awesome credit. But here we are, Monsters of California, which, by the way, is at a 5.1 on IMDb right now, and it's even lower on Rotten Tomatoes. And it's funny because all of the online sort of comments of this movie were not good. Anybody who saw this movie is like, damn, that was a waste of time. So, but anyway, he those scenes between them were great. So I actually was kind of great when she came into the film because I was like, oh, this is someone who could act. Awesome. So then after that, they go with her on a paranormal camping trip because they found the GPS. They want to go to the closest coordinates that they see on the GPS, which is somewhere in Northern California. So they go, and they're literally at what looks like a national park camping site. There's like a picnic table, there's a hammock there. It does not look remote whatsoever. They hear something in the dark, and then they're like, let's go on a paranormal hunting adventure at night in the woods. So they go, they come across a cave, really spooky cave. They go into the cave, and what's inside the cave? Bigfoot. Bigfoot is inside the cave, and apparently Bigfoot is one of the worst hunters to ever exist in the history of mammals, because there are moments, literally they're face to face with Bigfoot, and Bigfoot can't catch him. But he grabs one of them, he grabs Toe and threw him, and then Toe and the other 3 kids outrun Bigfoot for all the way back to the camping site. They outrun a 8-foot animal that could probably see in the dark and is very familiar with how to run through the woods. And it can't catch up to four other mammals with a much smaller stride. It was just the dumbest shit I've ever seen. And it looked like a guy in a Bigfoot costume, like a rubber mask Bigfoot costume. It was pretty bad. It was pretty awful, the special effects on Bigfoot. So they run back to the tent. For some reason, they think hiding in the tent, I guess it's because the only option they had. Where else are they going to hide? Don't want to get in the car and drive away from Bigfoot. That would be too easy. Um, so they get in the tent. Bigfoot comes up to the tent, rubs his claws on the tent. There's like a silhouette. It's supposed to be really spooky and scary. It's not at all, especially for a rated R movie. There was no tension in this whatsoever. It looks like Bigfoot disappears, right? And they're like, oh, somebody's got to go outside and check to see if Bigfoot's gone. And so Toe is the guy who goes out to check to see if Bigfoot's gone. And the way he exits the tent is one of the oddest ways to exit a tent that I've ever seen. He Now, the shot is pointing down at the entrance of the tent. So you see the top of the tent, and then he rolls out like he's on a roller, like he's coming out from underneath a 67 Cadillac that he's changing the oil on. And he comes out face up out of the tent to find Bigfoot standing over it, pissing in his mouth. It is hands down one of the most forced, unnecessary, stupid. If it doesn't get nominated for a Razzie, and if you don't know what a Razzie is, it is a movie uh award show for the worst movie of the year. And I have a feeling Monsters of California will end up in the Razzies somehow. It's really bad. This is the scene that I think a lot of people, when I saw on Twitter, this is where they shut it off. It was that stupid and that remedial and that amateurish. It was just fucking terrible writing. The jokes did not hit at all with Bigfoot pissing in the mouth of Toe. And again, like theory, like this guy's name means theories of everything, and he gets shit on the most for the entire film. So I don't know if they're shitting on theories of everything sort of as a subtext in the plot. I don't know why this character has the name theories of everything as an acronym. I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense. And I'm trying to figure out also the meaning behind Riley and Dallas. I have a feeling that there's some kind of conspiracy link thing to those names as well. Dallas in particular, just JFK, right? Isn't that where he was shot for? Is it Dallas Fort Worth? If I'm not mistaken. Like I don't know. I'm just taking a stab at the dark there, but like it's just weird that that's his character's name, and this character is the dumbest and has the worst things happen to him in the film, and it just doesn't make any sense. Like this scene was so bad. It was so bad. If I was an actor in this movie, I would have been embarrassed. I would have been embarrassed at that scene. If I had to go to the premiere and sit down in a theater of my peers and watch that, I would have been disappointed. I would have been pretty bummed out. But again, like at least from an actor's perspective, and even from a producer's perspective, in a lot of ways, even when movies fail, sometimes they're springboards for people to have really successful careers. And like I said, I think this movie might be a springboard for a couple of these really talented young and up and comers. Not and I'm not saying Jack Sampson was a bad actor. I think he had bad dialogue with a really bad script, and these actors did as best as they could with the garbage they were given. I mean, honestly, it was really difficult to make this script come alive in any sort of way. And every single actor in this film, with maybe there's with with exception to Dallas's mom, which I believe was Ariane Zucker, she was terrible. Like, just I did not believe the daughter, the mom, and the little kid. Like, the family dynamics were really poorly acted, and you could tell like those were the only actors they could afford to do those parts, and they did the best they can to fill those roles. But it was bad. It was really bad. As a matter of fact, I wish I could show you. But the software doesn't allow me to show any sort of footage from the film. But the father of Leah, or excuse me, Kelly in the film, um, he looked off. Kelly's dad, this guy, Eric Scott Woods. In this film, man, he just something looked off about him. He looked really, it was just, I can't explain it. You kind of just have to see it to see what I'm talking about. But he only has two scenes in this film, one of which he's just standing in the door, and I couldn't take my eyes off him. There was just so, I can't, again, can't put my finger on it, but there was something about this guy that just, I was like, Jesus, this looks so wrong. It's just something about him. So those were like, I think the weakest links as far as actors are concerned. And everybody else, I think, did a pretty damn good job with what they were given. So okay, let me get back to my notes. So after Bigfoot, which was just a crazy scene, this is where Richard Kind comes in. The character of Richard Kind, which is his name is Dr. Eric Walker. Like, and that's the other thing about this movie is he literally takes a tip. He takes the names of Eric Davis, Hal Puthoff, and he just puts little spins on them. And I'll show you at the end of the movie, there's a really interesting little sort of thing he puts on there too, which was like, oh my gosh, dude. It's just, it shows this film, if anything, highlights what their belief systems are. This is what Luis Elizondo, Christopher Mellon, Tom DeLonge, Hal Puthoff, Eric Davis, and all the other pushers of this 2017 narrative. I truly believe the concept of this film is what they believe is happening in real life. I really do. I really think, and wait till we get to the credits of this film because there's some interesting thank yous at the end of this film that I think we should go over. Um, it just it to me this was a really nice window into what their belief system looks like and what they believe is going on. And they think Bigfoot and ghosts and demons and aliens are all the same thing. They're all the same thing. All of it. And it's too wild and too complicated for any of us to understand. So so Richard Kind, Dr. Walker comes in and shoots a rifle at Bigfoot. Bigfoot runs away. And it was just so funny because there's no reason this guy should be there at all. It's supposed to be one of the most remote areas in California, and he just happens to be there with a rifle to shoot away Bigfoot, and it never goes explained. As a matter of fact, he comes into the scene, Dr. Walker, going, "How the hell did you guys get here?" Whoa, wait a second. There's a picnic table here. This is not like a remote area. There's a fire pit, for fuck's sake. Like, what are you doing here? What are you doing here with a rifle in a public park? How did you get here? Aren't you Dr. Walker? No, I'm not Dr. Walker. You are. Yeah, you are. It was just, again, just a weird scene, man. Like, no explanation to why he's there. How did he know that those kids were going to be there? How does he know that that's his colleague's son? Um, Maybe he saw a picture of him. I mean, I can believe that, but there's no explanation. There's nothing. So, let's see here. What are my notes? Okay, so so his uncle, who's played by Casper Van Dien, who's Jim Myers, Uncle Jim, who was a co-pilot with his dad, who was David Fravor. Okay, He was there when his dad died, but doesn't know how his dad died, and then tells Dallas in an interrogation. Okay, because after they get caught, they get interrogated by the United States government, yada yada yada. They get into an interrogation room, and then his uncle starts interrogating him on what he knows, and he's like, "Oh, you think you could trust Dr. Walker? I was there when your dad died. I don't know how your dad died. Why don't you ask Dr. Walker how your dad died? Ask him that question." Whoa, wait a second. Wait a second, Uncle Jim. You know, you don't know how your co pilot died. You know he's dead. You're very sad about it. But you know that Dr. Walker knows how your partner died. Why didn't you ask him? And if you know that he knows, that tells me that you also know because you guys worked in the same department, which, by the way, was called the agency. It was an agency that the government didn't even know about. It was a hidden government agency. Ooh, spooky. Like, it was so stupid. So stupid. Um, so Dr. Walker's, he says a couple things in here, one of which was the agency doesn't think humanity can handle truth, which is what they believe. They escaped. This is so after they all get interrogated, there's a scene where Richard Kind needs a piece of metal to pick the lock of the room that they're locked into. He breaks Toe's phone and goes to the door to start picking the lock to find that the door is unlocked. So it was just a scene to put in a joke. What about my phone? I broke it. That was the joke. That's what that scene was for, to just get that one joke in. But it was just dumb. So after they leave the interrogation room, we're supposed to believe that this facility that they're at is like Area 51. They are hiding, and we find out after they leave this room, they wander into, quote, a biomedical naval intelligence facility where they hide alien bodies and only have one security guard. And this scene was hilarious because when they see after they run into the alien bodies, then they see the one security guard. And Richard Kind says, "Good, they've only got one security guard. We're going to knock him out and take the key." The key. The key to what? They never answer why they needed that key. The key ends up being useless. They never mention it. It never comes back again. Um, and the next scene is them sneaking. They're outdoors. They're outside in front of a hangar that is holding a UFO. And Richard Kind just nonchalantly explains, "Oh yeah, that's reverse engineered. They've been working on that since the 60s." Like all of this UFO lore, all of this stuff that they believe squeezed into this script and sold as like this fantasy film, but that has underlines of truth because they discover in this also this Bible, that had the GPS in it. They also discover a file on ATIP, the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, which came out in 2017 and sort of kicked off this whole BS propaganda UFO thing. And that is one of the truths that they use in this film to propel it forward. And so they are and I can just see, I haven't seen any interviews, but I can just picture it in my head of Tom DeLonge on set or on at some sort of press junket to talk about this film and telling the reporter or the actor, "Hey, these are real. These are real things that really happened. And you can look up ATIP, you could look up these things, and you'll find that this program existed." I promise you that's what he was telling the actors and pitching when he was trying to get money for this film. And again, press junkets. Like, I know that they're using this film as like, "Hey, yeah, this is fantasy, but there is an underlying of truth that you need to look into, man. You need to look into it, man." It's just like, it's just shady. It's just shady. And it's just a bad movie all to boot. So they get the key. And then the next scene, they're outside, they see the UFO, and then they hop in a Hummer and decide that Toe's going to drive the Hummer because Toe is the highest. He's tripping again on drugs. And so they let him drive, and he drives this Hummer, breaking all sorts of shit, actually hits somebody, launches a canister of some kind that launches into the UFO that destroys the UFO hanging in the hangar. And you don't see the destruction, you just hear the explosions going off, and in the reflection of the Hummer that they're all in, you see the UFO very poorly CGI'd blowing up. It was so bad. It was so bad. It was the CGI in this film was really bad. Really, really bad. And the special effects on this film were really bad. You can't have a film called Monsters of California and go cheap on the special effects when it comes to the monsters in California. You just can't do it. It's not going to work. Um, just insane. So at the end of all of this, Dallas uses so like, and I don't even, they didn't really even explain this, they kind of do at the beginning of the film with this idea of that time isn't linear, it's happening all at the same time, so the past, present, and future is happening now. Very similar to the cigar analogy that Lou Elizondo uses, where the ash is the past, the cherry is the present, and the unsmoked cigar is the future. And as you smoke, like, this thing burns, and that burning is everything all at once, converging at once. And so that's sort of the idea of the film, is that all of this is happening at the same time. And at the end of the film, there's this UFO that appears at the coordinates that are in this GPS, which Dr. Walker tells these kids to go to. And that's another thing, like, the amount of danger that Dr. Walker puts these kids in, puts himself in, and tells them the things that he tells them to do is just so dumb, so stupid. So this UFO shows up, it takes Dallas up into the ship, and then boom, it's over. It's almost like a the end of Contact a little bit, where it's like, she, in real time, all you see is the capsule going through the machine and just drop straight through it. But in her reality, in her time, she spent an hour talking to her dad, who was an alien, right? And they kind of did this with this scene, but he didn't talk to anybody. He just kind of looked around at an endless universe with, big plan. That's the other thing. This whole scene was shot on a green screen. You could tell, like, somebody was in the editing room, and before this scene was shot, they were writing, they're like, and during this scene, I just want to see as many stars in the sky as humanly possible. And they couldn't get that on real film, so they filmed it against the green screen, and they just put all of these star systems, which I know if Neil deGrasse Tyson ever watched this movie, I'd guarantee all of these star systems are not in the right place. They're not astronomically correct, and that would drive him crazy. And I'm looking at it going, yeah, there's no way. Like, it was one of the first things I was thinking. I was like, no way this sky is accurate. There's just no way. Because it was just so abundant, the amount of stars in the sky. Anyway, it just threw me off. So he gets abducted. There's this, and I don't even know, I gotta go back and rewatch it, but apparently there's a micro USB port that his uncle got for all the information from the GPS coordinates to the ATIP file and all of those things. And Dallas, at the end of the film, uses his pickpocketing skills to hug his uncle, steal the micro USB, and then send the micro USB and the TTSA materials and the video of the gimbal Go Fast and Tic Tac to his Aunt May at the Times. And it's one of the last scenes in the movie where Aunt May, Maye, okay, a lady, an older lady with short hair. It's Leslie Kane. It's supposed to be Leslie Kane at the end of the movie getting this file of world changing information, and she publishes it to the Times, and it's the gimbal, the go fast, the tic tac, all the shit that they came out with in 2017. And it's literally like this whole film feels like a pat on the back to yourself, Tom DeLonge. Honestly, this just feels like he's patting himself on the back and saying, man, you were right. All of those theories, all of those books you read, all of the people that you talked to, this film is a manifestation of all of those things and my telling of it. It's a mess. It's an absolute mess. This film needed a real director and real script writers, okay? Because when we go to the credits here, we'll see that this film, where is the writers here? Did I miss it? To do casting, edited, written by Tom DeLonge and Ian Miller. Now, what has Tom DeLonge written as far as films go? Nothing. Nothing. Let's see his writing credits. So, music video, music video, music video. Like these are all music videos. Um it's just like, dude, you don't have the credits to direct a film. Directing a film versus directing and writing a full-fledged hour and 50-minute film versus a music video is night and day. They're not the same, not at all. And it shows, this film shows that the lack of experienced director is what killed it. And I don't know if that was a money saving thing because they couldn't afford a director. So Tom's like, I'll do it. I'll do it. And I'll get my buddy Ian Miller to help me write it, who, by the way, only has one credit as a writer, and that's Monsters of California. That's it. That's the only thing he's written. Again, you needed a real writer to write this film. It's got potential. It's not a bad idea, but it is executed so poorly, and it's because the people executing it don't have the chops or the experience to produce, direct, and write a major blockbuster film. And when you go through the credits of the producers, most of these guys have done not very much. I think the biggest, Joe Brisebois, um, a lot of these guys did. This guy did 3 video games, and Monsters of California is the only thing he's ever produced on film. Again, just like not a lot of experience. Let's see here. This guy, Eric Scott Woods, was the first producer mentioned at the end of the credits, which tells me you've got big billing. And he's also okay. That's why he plays a dad in the movie. He's the guy that just looks off, like bloated and way over tanned. He's brown. That's how tanned he is. But again, like look at these producer credits: The Hammer, Christmas with the Campbells, Creep Show, the TV series, which a lot of these guys came from this production, Creepshow production. A lot of the producers of this project are all buddies from that one project. So they basically got their buddies' work, like, hey, we're doing this thing, Monsters of California. You want to come help produce it? Sure, why not? It's got Tom DeLonge. Let's go. So yeah, like all of these producers are, again, just there's not one of them has legitimacy to them, like a legitimate producer in Hollywood. So I think this is why the movie turned out to be garbage. Absolute garbage, because you got a bunch of people who don't know, and casting. I mean, again, I think he got lucky, and if you've got a budget, you could get some good kids, and I think he did a pretty good job with casting here, Paul Ruddy. But no offense, I mean, like look at the and Paul Ruddy was a casting director on Creepshow, but like Paul Ruddy doesn't cast really big films. Um, It's just, yeah, it's this is why I wasn't good. But here's what I wanted to get to, because I found this very interesting. At the end of the film, there's a special thanks section. Carrie DeLong, Luis Elizondo, Adele Gilpin, Robert Hamley Jr., Chris Herndon, Debbie Dubel Hill. I looked some of these people up. I couldn't really find any of these guys. Steve Justice, we know. Norm Kahn, I don't know. Colm Kelleher, Chris Mellon, Hal Putoff. Like these are all TTSA to the stars guys, right? And clearly, I'm surprised that David Fravor didn't give a special thanks here, because they had to have gotten his permission to use his photo in that film. So David Fravor definitely signed a piece of paper and emailed it back to production saying, yes, it's okay for you to use my photo as a character, as a dead character in this film. Like, somebody had to release that. And also the person who took the photo has to release it. Um it's just this whole movie is a pat on the back and hero worship. The whole film. And it's an incongruent story that doesn't make any sense and is all over the place, and for the most part is mediocrely acted. Again, the music insanely good, but all the music, all of the really good songs were done by Tom DeLonge. He wrote them, he produced them, he composed them. So Tom DeLonge produced, directed, and wrote this movie. That's why it sucked. And now the question becomes, okay, well, how did you fund this? I mean, obviously you've got producers. Some producers put some money into this. But did any of the investor money from the initial TTSA funding announcement, did any of that money go into this movie? Because if it did, you might have a legitimate SEC violation here. Like, you really might. Because I can tell you, the investors of To the Stars Academy didn't want to invest into a film, didn't think they were investing into a movie. They thought they were investing into an anti-gravity machine. And To the Stars Academy went bankrupt and had to rename and rebrand to just To the Stars. It was To the Stars Academy of Science and Arts or something like that. Now it's just To the Stars Academy. So they had to drop the science and the arts part of it, because now they're just an entertainment company, kind of like Skinwalker Ranch Productions. It's entertainment. None of this shit is factual. None of it. It's just a bunch of hero worship. So that's my review of Monsters in California. I give it a. Ugh. I mean, it's a 5.1 on IMDb. Let's see what Rotten Tomatoes has it at. Um, a 43%. 43% on the tomato meter, an audience score of 75%. I have a feeling that's going to go down. And again, I think a big mistake was doing this. It has to be rated R. I haven't seen a rating for it, but there's too many F bombs for it to be a PG-13 movie. Way too many. I think a PG-13 movie, I think it's one or two opportunities to say the F word. Um, any more than that, and it has to be rated R. And a lot of studios will make films. This should have been a PG-13 movie. This is a movie that teenagers want to watch. And I think Tom DeLonge made the creative decision, like, no, I want them to curse. I want them to be like real teenagers. But the problem is they don't look like real teenagers at all. And the other issue is that you have cut out an entire audience that could watch this film, because guess who's buying the movies? Mom and dad. So if mom and dad see, oh, this is a movie that's got a lot of cursing in it and it's rated R, they're probably not going to rent it. They're probably going to go with something else, no matter who's in it. Not everyone, right? But I mean, It's just, dude, it's bad. It's so bad. And another yeah, this is another thing is the amount of production companies that were helping produce this film. There was, I believe, 5 production companies. So Cartel Pictures, The Cartel, Stryker Entertainment. There was the very first credit was Chicken Soup for the Soul Entertainment, and then To the Stars, TTSA was a producer of the film. So again, where did they get the money? Where did the money come from to produce this film? I would love for the SEC to look into this. Apparently, somebody had mentioned earlier on Twitter, um right here, Coldwater Bird 99 said, more importantly, does this funding for the movie put Tom DeLonge in jail for SEC violations like Elizondo said it would? I can't remember when Elizondo said that, although I'm not saying he didn't. I just can't remember. It's not striking a bell. But if anybody knows where that clip is, if Elizondo said that, I'd like to know exactly where it is. Please send it to me. Send me the link because I'd like to check it out. Oh, man. See here. Okay. Hopefully I didn't miss any. I'm looking at your comments now, guys. So hopefully I didn't miss any super chats or anything like that. But I'm taking a look at what you guys are saying now. Um, Believer Lou gave it 22 out of 10. No, even if I was a big believer, I would have hated this film. It's just it's not a good movie at all. SEC watching this like, ah, oh man. Let's see here. Chris Mellon, thanks for helping me with the movie. Your political news was priceless in the production. What a brown nose DeLong is, says Wise Monkey. Kimmel Mortensen, how was really put off by the film? I like that joke. That's a good one. It's a good dad joke. Strolling Stoned Ape says, trolling aside, I don't see anyone else wasting millions of dollars in the name of disclosure. Just threw millions and millions of dollars away. It could have gone to anything better. And I'm assuming you mean the film. I agree. Like this was a. I wonder if there's any information on the budget for this film, because I haven't seen Monsters of California. Let me see here. Okay, yeah, there's no way this could be right. This first number that came up, oh, Monsters of California estimated budget is around 100 million, including printing and advertisement expenses, which makes sense because if you're going by the Blink 182 sci-fi monster film and it looks delightful, there was something here I just saw that said it was a $42 million budget. September 24th, 2023, Blink 182's Tom DeLonge made a sci-fi film, Monsters of California, and it looks delightful. Budget of 42 million, and received where did that say that? Let's see. If they spent $100 million on this movie, somebody should be not just fired, but possibly shot. Like, thanks, babe. How does this film cost 100? How do you have $100 million and can't get a good director and a good film, a good writer? Because if it's $42 million, and we've discussed this before when we reviewed Avatar, $42 million film, which I even $42 million seems like a lot of money for a film of this quality. Fuck, where did that money go? Where did $42 million go? Because it wasn't in the actors. They didn't cost a lot. It wasn't in the writers because it was Tom DeLonge and Ian Miller. So it wasn't the director, a high-priced director. It wasn't the sets or the special effects. What did you spend $42 million on? And also remember, think about this. 42 million is just the budget for the film. So when you see here the number of $100 million thrown out there as a real number for this, it's realistic because if the film costs $42 million to make, that usually means you double the film production budget to do advertising and marketing. So that's an $84 million budget. That's not that far from 100 million. This is not an $84 million film. If this film cost anywhere near this, someone should go to jail. Seriously, especially if the funding came from people who invested into the Stars Academy. Like legitimately, the SEC should look into the funding and the production of this film if it was $100 million. Because I could promise you, this film has not made $100 million back, especially when you look at the numbers here, which I will show you. This is the actual rental that I paid for. 175 million subscribers for YouTube movies and TV, and it's got 24 likes on it. 24. 10 comments. Distributed by 1091, of course it was. But that's not $100 million movie. And if I can tell you, the studios, the 6 studios that helped produce this, they're not getting their money back. There's no way that this movie makes a return. There's no way. There's no way. If it's a 84 to $100 million budget, it's a crime. If this is if if Tom DeLonge took all of that money to film a passion project, which is exactly what this is, you should be in trouble. You should honestly, you should be in trouble for some kind of financial fraud. Now I see why the SEC has been contacted about this company to the Stars Academy. $100 million. I thought for sure in the back of my mind this was a 15 to 20 million dollar film with a marketing budget of maybe 40 million. But it's a $42 million production budget with a $42 million marketing budget, maybe more. Ooh. Ooh. Woo! Woo! Someone's in trouble. I'm sorry. Someone's in trouble. Anyway, I think my score for this film is very much in the same realm of IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes. I'm gonna go with a three. A three. I'm gonna get a 3 out of 10 stars. 3 out of 10 is the score. It's bad. It's a really, really, really bad film. I don't recommend it at all. I recommend you don't even watch it when it's on Netflix and for free. You're not going to enjoy this movie. I cannot imagine one person who enjoyed watching this film, and I feel bad for the editor who had to edit this film. I think the only person who's happy with this film is Tom DeLonge. He's the only person. Because I can promise you the studio's not happy. The actors, I can't imagine, are very happy with the final product of this film. I bet when they were filming it, they were super stoked, really excited. I'm sure it sounded, I mean, Tom DeLonge's connect. I would have been excited as an actor to have been a part of this project. I would have been really excited. I think when I came on set and saw that Bigfoot is probably when I would have started to maybe worry about it a little bit. But I bet shooting this film was fun. I bet being on set was fun. Um, but yeah, movies don't normally take 4 years to make. And if it's $100 million budget, I have a feeling it's that high because reshoots were done. I have a feeling that they scrapped the original project and started from scratch. I really do. I don't know for sure, but that's just what sort of my industry gut says about this film because it took so long. And again, I played golf with the guy who was in the original production, and now he's nowhere to be seen in this one. Um, it's man, it's bad. It's really bad. It's really, really bad. But again, I mean, Casper Van Dien, I think he does a pretty good job of this. Richard Kind, for as hard as this concept was and some of the just really bad dialogue, he does really well with it. He really, really does. So yeah, so that's it. That's my review of Monsters of California. Skip it. Don't bother. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of money. I'm kind of pissed off that I spent $7 on this to rent it, but I did it for you guys. I did it for the people, for you. So you're welcome. Because this was absolute torture. Absolute torture to watch. And there's some like you can see there's like some Easter eggs, guys who look like Lou Elizondo, the sort of Leslie Kane thing at the end. Like if you're a UFO nutter like I am, there are things in here you're like, meh. If this movie was better, I would appreciate that Easter egg. But it's just so bad. It's so bad. So anyway, with that said, let's get rid of that. Let's go over here to Twitter because I've got some great bookmarks here that I want to talk about, some news that's happened. And this is one of them. The Bigfoot in Colorado. So I'll talk about this briefly. I actually had Mick West zoom in and stabilize the footage of the Bigfoot in Colorado. And I also asked him, I don't think I got an answer to this, but I was wondering if he could get any scale of this creature or this thing walking. Because if you can get some scale from the shrubs around it, like if you know how tall these shrubs are, it'll give you an idea of how big this thing is. I mean, it's I don't know, 3 or 4 of those shrubs high, maybe. I don't know. I'm not a video analyst like this, but this is interesting. I must say, this caught my eye. But now, as I've looked at it over and over a few times, look, this is it seems like a very popular stretch of railroad track in Colorado. I know this part of the country has railroad tours. So if this is a railroad tour, it's not out of the realm of possibility that somebody knows that railroad tours happen here at certain times of the day. And if you were to go out there with a suit that looks like Bigfoot and walk around, there's a good chance somebody might film it from far away and get a really viral moment on video. It might even be where the person filming this also planned it with the person who's out here in the field. Um, it's not out of the realm of possibility. I know it's not as fun as sexy as, oh my God, this is Bigfoot. It is cool. Although the thing I do have an issue with is why did the camera guy stop shooting and why aren't there multiple angles of this? Like there were other people in the train. I think if this was something that people saw, everybody would have whipped out their phones. I mean, for fuck's sake, I would have yelled at the conductor to stop the train. Like, I would have I would have maybe hopped out of the train to get a better look at this thing. I just think there should be more than one camera, one cell phone tracked on this thing in a train car full of people. That's weird. Also, the fact that you just stopped filming. You just stopped. Why would you stop filming a possible Bigfoot? It just the way the video comes in. We don't have a source. I don't know who shot this film. We don't have the meta information on this film. We don't have the coordinates. Like there's so many things that can be followed up on this to see if this is legitimate. Like I bet you can go exactly to this location and see if there are any footprints left there. You would think a huge multi hundreds of pounds animal walking through Colorado would leave a couple of footprints. You got video corroborated with the footprints. I mean, that's data. That's like legitimate data. Um, it's a weird video. I will give you that. It is weird. It's interesting, but I'm not going to get excited. We need more information. This could easily be a prank. I mean, easily be a prank. But it is interesting how it almost feels as if this animal or whatever it is aware of the train and then squats down to either do his animal business or I mean, gosh, yeah, this quality is so bad. But Mick says the version on Twitter is a little bit too low resolution to really sort of get any crispness out of this. But yeah, the animal squats to either blend in with the background, or to take care of some business. Or I mean, this could just be a guy in a ghillie suit taking a dump. I mean, I don't know. It could be a million things, or it could be a real Bigfoot. But we need more data, a lot more data. I know the Bigfoot expedition on Discovery is going to be doing a huge thing on it tonight. So check it out tonight at 10 o'clock if you want more non-answers on this very spooky video. I mean, it'd be interesting if they got the actual people who shot the video and the actual video itself. So maybe we could clear this up a little bit, get a little bit better resolution on it, because it looks like it was filmed with a 1990s camcorder. I mean, it's just the resolution's really, really low. So I'm kind of surprised about that too. So that was one thing that would happen. So that was fun. Another thing that happened here that I found that was really interesting was this right here, Alien Girl 111. She wrote, let's see here, yesterday, October 10th, she wrote, just got a message from a well-known experiencer asking me to take down a video saying it was libel, that they reported my show and demand that I take my episode down. Wow. It's just a regular show you all see. Barely any views on the video, too, but it's still warranted for a threat by this UFO superstar, I guess. So just remember, folks, stop asking questions. They are watching. Just do and listen to what they say, I guess. So it turns out that this person who who reported Alien Girl's show, which by the way, it's not a big channel. No offense to Alien Girl, she's been doing it for a while, but it's not like she's got like this huge following to a point where like something that she would say would be libel. She's got 2,000 followers, 2,300 followers. And I'm not saying that as a knock. I'm just saying, like, why is this a threat to anyone? Um, it's weird. So it turns out after I commented and shared this post that I found out it was Jack Safartti, the maniac that is Jack Safartti. Um, I, let me tell you a fun story about Jack Safartti. So when Michael Mataluni was doing UCR, we were doing UCR. It was like Tuesdays or something, and then doing Singularity Lab on Thursdays, something like that. And Michael Mataluni got onto Jack Sarfatti's email list, which, if you've heard anything about this email list, is relentless and just nonstop barrage every single day. You will get 15 to 20 emails from Jack Sarfatti if you end up on this list. So he gets on the Jack Sarfatti email list and actually manages to get an interview with Jack Sarfatti. He told Michael that he would only be interviewed by Michael. Nobody else was allowed to come on the show and interview him. That included me. Because I guess we were too stupid to be in his presence. He's an absolute psychopath to deal with. He's one of the craziest conspiracy theorists I've ever heard on YouTube. And these are my opinions. And I'd love for Jack Sarfatti to try and libel that. He's an asshole. He's one of the biggest assholes in ufology. And he's a kook. He's a scientific kook. If you challenge him on anything he says, he calls you an idiot. He curses at you. He treats you like a piece of shit. And then he somehow demands respect from everybody. He's the biggest. I can't say he's the biggest because there's a lot of fucking egomaniacs in this field, but Jack Sarfatti is definitely up there. I don't even know. Does he crack the top 5? It's close. It's really close with the big egos that we have in this field, but definitely in the top 10. For you to be picking on Alien Girl, you ballless coward. You've got no balls. 0. You're just an asshole with a theory. A really big asshole that, in my opinion, no one should ever listen to. So, Jack Safartti, go kick rocks, you old fucking kook. And leave Alien Girl, Amy, alone. She doesn't need any of your bullshit. Fucking maniac. All right, just wanted to say that. Fucking dickhead. So, moving on to that propaganda podcast. And for this, I will definitely again say fair use. This is transformative work. We're educating the public and critiquing the videos we are sharing. This is covered under fair use and allowable by law. This is a clip from Ross Coulthart on that propaganda podcast hosted by Andy McGrillen, the podcast that doxed Rather, the podcast that silently boycotted this show, the podcast that has all the access and asks no hard questions of anybody that comes on their show. After this clip, I don't think they've gotten a lot of pushback, but I know Ross Coulthart has gotten a lot of pushback. If you read the comments, and I'm not going to read the comments because I think you pretty much get it, but it seems like the community's had enough of Ross Coulthart's bullshit. Because, I mean, just listen to this. So, again, this is Larry Gerndt. I think Larry's pretty pro UFO narrative, but I mean, he's repugnant fear mongering by Ross Coulthart. I recently reviewed on my channel Lou Elizondo's original comments when he used the word somber and had nothing to do with anything bloody horrific. It had to do with the origin of our species and religion. But here is, let's see here, religion. But here's Ross Coulthart wrongly repurposing Lou's famous somber comments to fear-mongering about a rumor which he will not specify, which he heard from someone in the deep state. I'm growing increasingly dissatisfied with Coulthart's reporting, speculation, and power worship of the national security state. You heard me. Power worship. And I honestly think this is one of the best phrases I've ever seen attached to Ross Coulthart. He's a power worshiper. I mean, that sums him up perfectly. Here's another example. He fully agrees with the imprisonment of Julian Assange, which is another gross thing. It's just disgusting. Like if you are for whistleblowers, you should be a champion of Julian Assange and Edward Snowden. Even if they did it the wrong way, they were trying to do the right thing. So let's listen to what Ross Coulthart has to say here.
The simple fact is that if the American government chooses to classify what essentially is alleged to be an illegal criminal cover-up, it doesn't look good for the Constitution of the United States that they've chosen to do that. And I guess I just don't believe that the Congress would allow that to happen. I mean, there are too many people now in the Congress who are aware of the full story. And believe me, the full story is pretty bloody horrific. When Lou uses words like somber, he uses it for a reason. What's been going on is a disgrace. And, I wish I could talk more specifically about it.
This is a different
clip. I feel frustrated as a journalist that I just can't go, blang, this is what I know.
Oh, I'm sure you're so frustrated. So frustrated as a journalist that you can't share what you know. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Here's the clip that I think pissed everybody off. And yeah, this is UFO Shane. He said, just read the comments. Looks like everyone's getting fed up as I have been. And it's true. Listen to this. It's like a couple of weeks ago, it was fuck 'em. Now it's like, whoa, hold your horses, everybody. National security. I can't tell you where that craft that's too big that crashed and it can't be moved, so big that they had to build an entire facility around it. I can't tell you where that is because it would compromise my sources. It wouldn't. You already told us about it. You telling us the location or the region doesn't compromise your sources any more than you've already compromised them. And he's telling us to chill out. Listen to this clip.
Actually, I want to say something, Andy, about the UFO community right now. I
Yeah,
love
please
and
tell us,
deeply
Ross.
respect the people who are as passionate as I am about getting to the truth of what lies behind this mystery.
Uh-huh.
But there is a new
Go
phenomenon right
on.
now that I've really noticed in the
A
last
new
few months
phenomenon.
of really quite angry hostility. People are sort
I
of
wonder
taking it
why.
out on commentators like me and you. That,
Huh.
you know, essentially we
I wonder why. Maybe because you're promising us the world and you're not delivering it on any of it. On any of it. And then when people press you on the comments that you make, you get mad and turn around and blame us. Listen to the rest of this.
like me and you, that, you know, essentially we just need to spew everything up that we know as fast as possible and, you know, full speed ahead, damn the torpedoes, and who gives a shit about national security. Actually, I want to say something, Andy.
That's what you've been telling us to do. That's what you've been telling us to do. He's bitching and complaining that people are jumping in his ass because he told us about a craft so big it can't be moved. And when people are like, "Yo, you're holding back," you or Ross Coulthart are holding back disclosure. And it's not because it exposes your sources. It's because you just don't want to tell us. You just don't want to tell us because you know it's bullshit. And so many people have called you out on it, and now it's our fault because we're angry, because we're upset that you're a journalist that somehow gets to look at pictures on Tim Burchett's phone that are classified, that gets classified information from American military members, and you're not even American. You're not even an American journalist. You're the only guy covering this with the seriousness that you do it at. And it's not even that serious. It's power worship. It's power worship, Ross Coulthart. You're a fraud, in my opinion. You're a grifter. You want to sell books and fantasy. And you want clicks and views, man. So you can continue this never ending revolving door of ufology, making millions a year, probably, especially when you throw in book sales and podcasts revenue. It's a joke. It's a joke that this guy is angry at you for asking questions and throwing in Andy. People, the reason why people are starting to get fed up with this show, and I'm surprised it hasn't happened sooner, is that they don't ask any fucking questions. They don't push anybody. And they've got no problem doxing people. They've got no problem silently behind the scenes making decisions on who who gets access and who doesn't. I mean, Dan Zetterstrom knows the instrument that could pick up the frequency that these things communicate on. Apparently, something along those lines. Lou Elizondo knows the device and the frequency that these things communicate on, and he refuses to share it. So again, another secret keeper. That UFO podcast has the ability to share information with people that would bring more clarity to this discussion, and they don't want to. They don't want to, and they won't because they don't give a shit. They do not care about disclosure at all. At all. They care about selling their art. They care about selling their podcasts. They care about selling their wares and doing charity events in the name of Lou Elizondo to raise money for charity for children, which is a good cause. Don't get me wrong, but you're using your influence and your power to present yourselves as these good, upstanding citizens that donate money to charity while at the same time doxing and harassing people behind the scenes and encouraging that harassment. You're fakes. You're phonies. I've been saying it for a year. And this year, it doesn't sound as silly. This year, people are starting to see through it. This year, people are losing patience with this shit. They're losing patience. They're tired of the trust me bros and my sources told me. They want some fucking truth. Some actual facts. And you're coming nowhere near close to providing any of that. And now you're starting to get some fire for it. Thank God. And I hope I'm the driving force of that. I really do. I hope I'm one of the driving forces to people asking you better questions. And I know that there's an event coming up in Australia where Ross Coulthart is charging money to meet him in person. And I hope that somebody at that convention asks him, where is this craft and why can't you share where it is? Does not, again, it does not compromise your sources. You already told us it's there, that it exists. Just tell us where it is so people can go find it. So people can go find it and investigate it. And again, if it's true, you're the biggest, most famous news reporter in the world overnight. Who cares? You're going to get plenty of sources. Plenty of sources if this ends up being true. It's so dumb. It's the dumbest thing, man. And yeah, I think that's everything. I think that's everything. What do you guys think? I DM'd the Ross Coulthart convention to you, Lou. Oh, that's right, you did. I'd like to know, I wonder if our buddy Grant Levac is going to that convention. And I wonder if Grant will ask that questions. Thank you, Steve Long. I appreciate it. Man, what a fun last week this was. Just a bunch of weird, stupid stuff. And oh, this was cool. Charlie Weiser, who by the way I got asked to come on the show. Charlie Weiser, we talked about this the other day with Charlie Parrish. Have you got pictures of the creature? And this is what we were talking about, how James Fox already claimed that he had videos and pictures of the Varhinya alien. And then when the movie came out, they weren't anywhere to be seen. And then all of a sudden, it's a reward to get the pictures and footage of this Varhinya thing. So he lies in this video. He lies in this interview and infers and basically says, yeah, I got video and pictures. We got it. Well, I can't tell you, but it's going to be amazing. Just wait. Just watch the movie. Listen to this.
That's, You're sounding like a man who has. But can't say right now. Let me answer the question by...
Let me not answer the question.
Not expose our contacts and also...
How does answering that question expose your contacts? You either have video and pictures of the Varhinya alien or you don't. It's always, I don't want to expose my contacts or my sources. Motherfucker, you just did. You just did. Why are you giving us half of the information?
Also, tell your audience what I know. Mm-hmm. We have located both photographic and video evidence, yes.
We have located both photographic and video evidence, yes. So where is it, James? Where's the Varhinya alien that you promised us in your movie? Where is it? This is what these guys do. They overpromise and then just straight up don't deliver, not even underdeliver. They don't even try to deliver. Just buy my movie, buy my book, check out my podcast, donate so I can do another film. This guy does not care about your disclosure. Does not care. He just cares about continuing the narrative, continuing the revolving door. It's all they want to do. It's all they want to do. It's clear as day.
Okay, well, that's a start. I mean, that's going to
Nope. I hate when this stuff resets Twitter.
That's a start. I mean, that's going to
I'm not trying to evade the question or spike. I don't want that to come across the wrong way.
You already said.
To answer your question, yes, we have.
To answer your question,
right,
yes, we have it.
The material, and is that material, which presumably isn't in the documentary, are you going to release that at some point? Will you be able to?
It's not in the documentary yet. We have. God, there's so much stuff I'd like to go into, and I just don't want to. I don't want to compromise. I don't want to compromise or jeopardize our efforts.
Unreal.
I don't want your audience to think,
Unreal.
This guy's just dancing around this issue.
This guy's audience is not even at all thinking that you're lying to them. This guy's audience is hanging on every word you say. And James Fox knows this. This is the tactic. Oh man, I just don't want to say too much because I don't want to get my sources out and I don't want to get in trouble, but I want to answer your question and I want to let your audience know what I'm dealing with. Oh man, I can't answer your question, but yes, we've got it. Is it in the movie? It might be. Yeah, we got it. I think it's going to be in there. And then it's not.
Yes, we have located the evidence, and we've offered an extremely large cash prize for said evidence.
He located the evidence, then offered the cash prize? What's going on? What's going on?
And we're working on it.
Right, so you know where it is, and you're trying to obtain it. How cool is that? That is speaking to me from the location that you're speaking to me from. That's a hell of a thing.
Where's he speaking to you from?
If you're drop something like that on the world, you might as well do it from where you're standing, James. That's astonishing. Look, I mean, I love talking with you. We need to talk longer. What's the takeaway point that people should gather from this?
Unreal. The takeaway point people should gather from this is that he's completely 100% full of shit. That's what people should take and gather from this. And also, don't listen to that UFO podcast. They've got to be the worst source of information out there. Right next to and right behind the Liberation Times. Anyway, you guys, that's the show. Thank you all so damn much for being here. It was an absolute blast. Not 100% sure when our next show is going to be. But hopefully soon. Kimball, thank you so much for all the, and UFO Shane for the emojis there. Appreciate it. Yeah, I had a fun show. I think this was fun. Trying to think. I have no idea when our next show is going to be. I'm gonna get hopefully get Charlie Weiser in here. Maybe that'll be our next show. And I've also got a buddy over in Australia that wants to talk about Ross Coulthart, so maybe we'll do that as well here in the next week or two. Want to say thank you to everyone who joined us in the chat. Really appreciate you guys being here. Yeah. Let's see here. Is there anything else here that I'm missing? I don't think so. Anyway, thank you guys for embarking on this journey of discovery together. Stay curious, stay skeptical, and thank you so damn much for subscribing to Lou Reviews. Until next time, you guys, peace out. Enjoy the rest of your week. I'll see you soon. Love you.